Let's try that again. Hi, everyone. Let's try that again. I see I don't have anybody to let me know if the sound is working. If you're here, if you join, can you let me know if the sound is working? Much better. Okay, yay. Well, thanks for hanging in there with me. Technical difficulties, disaster averted. Every time I'm in a session with somebody who comes to see me, I pay attention to the sounds, the distractions, the interruptions, the things that are happening in the atmosphere around, and it feels all very pertinent. So today, dealing with sound and technical issues. It feels like I'm pushing up against some kind of resistance in the field. So that there is some kind of blockage or glitch in the channel of communication. So I'll start there. Oh, welcome. So, welcome to anyone who's here. I'm going to give my little intro spiel again, just because the last live did not work. The intention of the live sessions are to open up the space for anyone who wants to receive a healing from the divine through me, as a medical intuitive person who is intentionally grounded and holding space for healing. So no matter what's happening in your life, wherever you're feeling stuck, whatever the situation, if you come with a request and you want to put it in the chat and you're feeling brave, knowing that this is a public forum, so whatever information that you put in the chat is, the public has access to that, that I can go to work. I can go to work on giving you a read on the energy, and in real time, we can begin to shift the picture that you're holding in your field. And this is based on the premise that energy precedes physical matter and consciousness precedes energy, so that when we work on the level of consciousness, that it then ripples into the physical. And so in this regard, I mean, people such as Joe Dispenza talk about this in different ways. They have their own lexicon around it to explain the science of it. But basically, it's science catching up to woo-woo and meeting in the middle and recognizing that the intention and focus and the awareness of energy is in fact one of the most powerful ways to find healing. So I myself have been on a very tumultuous journey over my life of healing on so many levels, and each time something's happened to knock me off center, I'll come back to that place of connecting into spirit, connecting into source, connecting into the divine, asking for guidance, asking for healing, trusting that my spirit knows how to heal myself, and finding the way through and finding resolution to whatever the situation that has presented itself. And I know that you too can do the same. So no matter the situation you are in your life, I encourage you to find different facets of healing. That's not just Western medicine. Obviously, doctors of years of training and science and everything that comes with that is incredible resource, but also that the other facets of healing, such as energy work or, hands-on, or there's just a plethora of modalities. My dog is going to knock at the door. Let me just go let her in. Hang on a second. A plethora of modalities that can assist you to bring in all facets of self, because we're not just a physical body. Western medicine is very much focused on the physical body. Psychiatry and psychologists are focused on the mind and the emotions. New age healers or medical intuitives or psychic intuitives or shamans or people who focus on the energetic field are working on the energy field of the body, and this is an important piece. It's a very important piece that Western medicine does not address. And as far as I'm concerned, it's one of the most important pieces, because when you get to the source, of what is seeded in your consciousness and what is broadcasting and creating that ripple effect in your energy field, if you're holding a source wound in your consciousness, it's going to create dis-ease. It's going to create inflammation, out of alignment. It's going to throw you off center. There's deep root causes of what you're manifesting in the physical body. I'm speaking from experience. I'm not a trained medical professional. I have just been on a healing journey myself for a lifetime, and have applied this knowledge to myself and have applied it to many other people. So if that resonates with you, that's the other thing. I just ask you, if you're here, please don't believe a word I say. I don't want to just be another talking head on a screen that you listen to blindly and take everything I say as gospel. I just would ask that you have discernment when you listen to anybody in your family, on a screen, wherever you are in relation, that you listen with discernment and you process the information that you're hearing here today, and you take it under consideration and you see if it rings true for you. And if it does ring true for you, if it resonates with you, then take it on board. But if what I'm saying sounds like gobbledygook and it doesn't sit well with you, then please leave it. And that includes the information that comes through if you put your hand up and ask for a read. So having said that, let's see what people are saying. Now, I'm wondering how to pronounce your name. Gielia? I hope I say that right. All right, I'm going to read this. 50, don't remember my life, my past. It's like the thickness of a children's book. Compared to others at my age, have volumes of past episodes and stories to tell. Makes me feel very different from the majority of people. Can't visualize anything with my eyes closed. This worsens the first point. Thank you. Julia, thank you. Thanks, Julia. Thank you for your courage. Thank you for being here. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for putting your hand up. Thank you for being ready and willing to have an objective perspective and the spotlight shone on this, because I really, truly believe that it takes courage. It takes courage to peek under the hood and to receive that kind of information. So just bear with me. I'm going to just tune in. So the thickness of a children's book. So straight out the gate, I'm feeling like there is a children's book in you. Like, I don't know if you write, but the fact that there's volumes and chapters and chapters and chapters that holds like a density in your field, like a heaviness, like you feel like you've lived lifetimes already, and that perhaps you can't relate to other people because of that. I suspect that you're a very deep person, and that a lot of your life experiences have been very profound and very poignant, and that sometimes in relation to other people, you're finding that there's a very superficial kind of way that people relate, and that you find it difficult to relate, or there's a disconnect there because of the depth and the breadth and the expanse of your lifetime of experience. That's not unusual for an empath. That's not unusual for somebody who's had a lot of tumultuous experiences or trauma. Not saying that you have had trauma, but if there's a lot of impacts in your life where you could write an entire chapter just on that story and that story and that story and that story, and it's all led to this present time, it just gives you a wisdom, because each chapter, each poignant moment, each intensity that you've experienced, you can learn from. And I suspect that there's a piece of you that's wondering what to do with the heaviness and the denseness of all of these volumes, right? The chapters. You're like, okay, so I've had all of this intense experience and I'm sitting here with the weight of that. Now, what do I do with it? So one thing I would suggest that you do is to express that somehow. And the writing is coming through for me. Like it could just be a paragraph to start, that is going to generate a trickle of energy, a creative expression, life force. Any kind of creative expression is, as far as I'm concerned, generating the life force. It's allowing the flow in your physical body to come through you. So your book is thin, okay. But you say you have a thickness of a children's book. Hi, Jennifer. Welcome. So, Julia, this comes through to like that you are an old soul. And I don't know if you've felt that before, or that you feel confused about that. Your book is thin, the others is thin. The others is thick. Okay, clarity. Thank you. So your book is thin and others is thick. Is that what was an exclamation point there? Can you clarify that for me? That your book is thin and you feel like others is thick. With that said, if that is the case, so you can't remember much of your life. Okay. Thank you for defining that. So I'm starting to see a picture that the memory of your life is not solid. The first question I have around that is, are there substances involved? Have you had an addiction? Have you been using a substance that numbs or alters your state of mind? And it doesn't have to be drugs or alcohol. It could be something in your diet. Okay, so there's a wispiness of everything that you've lived, and you're not feeling connected to the past. Okay. So you're on medication. That is making sense now. And trauma. Okay. Aphantasia. You know, I know people who can't visualize things. I've heard of this before. I'm the complete opposite. I get a ton of visuals. I have a graphic design mind. So I'm the opposite of that. First of all, I would say this is not to your detriment. It is just the way your mind is wired, and that it's specifically wired like that for a reason, right? You say that the trauma is what you can remember. So those are the poignant moments, the heaviness that we're talking about, that are calling you back, and everything else in between feels wispy and like you don't get a picture about your life. So we're going to address those markers. That's what we're going to do. The points of trauma that are present for you. And first of all, again, just saying here, not a medical professional, I would ask you to consider finding someone who perhaps can take you on a journey. There's different practitioners of medicine these days that are open to alternative modalities in terms of healing trauma, and I would suggest you look at the website maps.org. That is a medical association of psychedelic research for specifically things like PTSD, veterans, people that are stuck in trauma, and finding alternatives to Western medicine, working with Western medicine, working with trained medical professionals to address the trauma with different mind-altering substance in a contained and clinical situation that allows your pattern of fragmentation and the trauma that is holding you in this place to be resolved. So look into that. Whatever country you're in, you may find that there is a link there or a thread there that you could follow to find someone in your area that could assist you in that way. It is a massive movement that is helping a lot of people with PTSD, a lot of veterans, a lot of people with very, very fragmented mindset where other medical drugs are not working or not seeming to give you a quality of life. So if you're feeling like that your past is this wispy, thin, can't really grasp anything, and it feels like there's a level of disassociation there because of that, what we're going to do today is focus on those points and just ground you. I'm going to ground you in your body, okay? I know from as a person who has experienced a tremendous amount of trauma that the thing that most often happens when you're triggered is that you disassociate, disembody, right? It's easy to boop out the door. So I'm just going to bring you back in. Can you take a deep breath for me? You can close your eyes if you like. We're just going to ground you. Ground you down. Feel your feet and your buttocks on where it makes contact with the earth or the chair or the bed if you're laying down. Just grounding your energy. As we're doing this, we're rippling out any of the glitches. Keep breathing. Don't forget to breathe. Just going to hover here over your heart. Again, another deep breath into the heart. I'm going to ask you to hold I can't visualize anything as an actual skill set, a level of skill set. So if your wiring is different to others, some people are very logical, linear, analytical, left-brained, have an ability to fine-tune and dissect and, like with a surgical precision, kind of get to the bottom of something. And that's a special ability right there. So to hold the lack of visualization as something that is your detriment, just to love yourself. Just give that some love right now, okay? Here with me now. That it's okay. Just because you think differently. Yeah, you don't get all the cartoon characters and the visuals and the graphics, but maybe you get something here that others aren't privy to, and that is potentially part of your gift and your offering and your service to the world. There is something here for you to specifically zero in on. Whatever the passion in you, whatever you choose to do for your vocation, there's something that you're able to refine and focus in on because of the way that you think. And so asking you here to look at the glass half full instead of half empty, instead of being like, I can't visualize, I can't remember, I'm stuck in trauma, that's the glass half full. If you can instead, we're turning it right here, right now to, oh, actually, I've got this ability and I can really refine my focus and go into something with surgical precision and analyze it and dissect it. That is a gift, right? So you have a surgical mind. I know plenty of surgeons with that ability, and it is a specialized way of thinking, right? So that you can apply that to something that you care about, something that you're interested in, something that you're passionate about moving forward. So yeah, glass half full. I've got this gift, I've got this ability, I've got this skill. How do I want to weave this through my life to give my life a sense of purpose and fulfillment? And that could take you deep down a rabbit hole. It could take you in multiple directions, but there's something here that will give you a sense of purpose. And if you can't, if it bothers you and you want to engage and activate this is just dropping in, and I'm not, there's no science, there's no proof that this would work, but I'm going to suggest that you look up some Mandelbrot kaleidoscope visuals. You can find them on any of the royalty-free visual sites that, or you can make it with AI. There's all sorts of graphic visuals out there which are psychedelic, like a kaleidoscope. And if you were to meditate on a kaleidoscopic vision, just on repeat for a while, it would generate it. I feel like it might activate those visuals in your mind. And again, I haven't proven that. I have no idea, but that's what's just dropping in. So to imprint that kaleidoscopic visual in your mind's eye may in fact activate that. So I would be interested to hear if that actually works, but that's what's coming through. So there, yeah, that we've got the grounding, we've got just the poignant notes of trauma, just dissipating and dissolving those so that you can be present and embodied just in this moment, in this time. And you may find that you skip off again after this. If you're right here, right now, present with me here and now, embodied, breathing, alive, existing, that's amazing, right? And then you may skip off, you may disembody, you may disassociate in the next moment. But just even if it's just this one moment, we've got one moment where you're here and you're present. And this is a solid imprint. So moving forward, look at the visuals, kaleidoscopic visuals, grounding, anything you can do around, and bringing your attention back to the present will really assist you. Just being present with whatever you're experiencing, even if it is the trauma, even if you're in the distress of the trauma, breathing. And since you're in Italy and you don't have access to that kind of thing, might be worth investigating nearby countries if there is that available. And if not, you're working with what you've got. And that's fine too. Just acknowledge that you've been through it and that you can soften the hard edges of how you relate to yourself. Yeah. All right. Jennifer, you can't remember much of your life either. And you're in the same boat. You just remember trauma. So, Jennifer, what I just said to Julia is pertinent for you too in terms of being grounded and present and staying in the body. In my experience, pain and trauma, or both, one or the other, or both, is the thing that makes me want to check out. And that when you choose to embody, when you choose to be present, when you choose to stay here and now, that you then have to sit with those feelings of discomfort. So, Jennifer and Julia, since you're both here and expressing trauma, expressing that you've had trauma, for you, Jennifer, I'm going to focus on the fragmentation because that's what you're presenting, that the trauma somehow fragments your thinking, right? So it's like it's difficult to stay on point. So just we're going to work that energy right here, right now, okay? And this is for anybody who feels fragmented from trauma. So just take a moment to ground into your sit bones, your feet. Feel your contact with the earth. Take a deep breath. For me, trauma can present like hooks, daggers, shrapnel in the energetic field, debris in the energy field. When there's been an event that has fractured your sense of self, there's like cracks and a vulnerability. Because of those cracks, the wholeness, the whole sense of self has been fragmented. And the cracks, is that saying, the cracks let the light in. So even though there is trauma, and that's what you're working with, and it affects your quality of life, that as you walk the path of healing, as you call back the facets of yourself that have split off, as you call yourself home, as you return and remember your sense of self, and you clear that debris, that shrapnel, those hooks, those daggers, those points of impact. Take another deep breath. As you remember who you are as a spirit, as a divine spark, as an old soul, as somebody that perhaps chose all of that ahead of time before you came through the door. He said, I'll take that one. I'll take that life. It's going to squeeze the most juice. Your pre-life contracts to experience these intense moments. If you can recognize yourself as a spirit, connected to the divine, as a part of the whole, if you can conceptualize that you chose all of this ahead of time, consciously, to experience what you needed to experience, to learn the soul lessons that you came here to learn, then there's a shift from being a victim. There's a shift in your thinking from being at the mercy of the powers that be. There's a shift in your thinking that reclaims a sense of agency and sovereignty. There's a shift in your being that recognizes that you have a bigger purpose here, and that all of the traumas that you've been through, everything that you've been through, all of the impacts, all of the jarring, all of the assault, all of the violation, all of the betrayals, all of the attack against your person are part of the soup, part of the flavor, part of the journey that you've chosen ahead of time to create a character, and that you're stepping into the leading role of your life. And as you're healing, as you're coming into this awareness, and you're cultivating that awareness that you are in fact coming home to yourself, and you're remembering why you're here, and you're remembering what your purpose is. And that includes all of the shadow, all of the trauma, all of the fragmentations. That includes everything you've ever been through, because all of those experiences are allowing you to navigate and move through the world in a certain way that you have your own perspective, unlike anybody else's, and are able to see and relate and be in relation to the world in a way that perhaps others aren't. Because when you've experienced a tremendous amount of trauma, the one thing that it cultivates for sure is compassion and empathy for others. Because if you've experienced a lot of pain, whether it's physical, emotional, mental, spiritual anguish, acute writhing agony, whatever it is, if you've experienced that, then you may find that you have a tremendous amount of compassion for anybody else going through a similar thing. And if you have capacity, as you begin to heal, as you begin to call those pieces of yourself home, as you find that your resourcefulness is returning and your sense of self is returning and your wholeness is returning, as you become well, you may find that you have capacity to express and share that compassion with others, and that you can support and step into a role of service in that way. Because once you've been through it and you've come out the other side, and then you turn to your left and you see another who's also going through it, who's still in the quagmire, who's still in the fragmentation, who's still in the fractured aspects of self, struggling, lost, confused. When you're grounded, when you're centered, when you're whole, when you've come home to yourself, you can be of service to that person. You can be of service to that community. You can be of service to those creatures. You can be of service to that forest. You can be of service to the planet. You can be of service to other people. And it doesn't have to be in the therapeutic world. You don't have to be a healer. You don't have to be a doctor. You don't have to be a nurse. You don't have to be a practitioner of healing. It could be whatever channel you choose. It could be a smile to a stranger. It could be helping a child. It could be helping a homeless person. It could be rescuing a bird. Because you have that ability to feel, because you have that ability to have compassion for another who's going through so much pain and trauma and suffering, you've cultivated compassion, which is, as far as I'm concerned, one of the most high vibration qualities of being human. Yeah, we can be in rage and grief and anger and jealousy and envy and despair and stuckness. Very unpleasant place to be. But as we heal the facets, heal the trauma, resolve, absolve, dissolve those points of impact that have fractured us, as the energy field becomes clear, as we arrive back home in our bodies, consciousness, awareness, mental acuity, that sharpness, the fog, the confusion, the despair dissipates, dissolves when we're just fully present, even though that's so uncomfortable sometimes. When you're sitting with trauma, when you're sitting with betrayal, when you're sitting with attack, when somebody has violated your space, the resonance, the ripple effect is profound. When you're sitting with the discomfort of that and you're allowing that to dissipate out of your body, so you're not holding it in your body. I'm all for somatic release. I meant to say release, but relief is a good word too. Because if you're releasing it from your tissues and cells, if you're holding trauma in your tissues and cells, it's going to go ping, 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 ping. It's going to ricochet. It's going to affect up here. It's going to affect how you think. That's the fragmentation. That's the discord. That's the distortion. But if you are somatically releasing the trauma out of your nervous system, if you're grounding and discharging those fragments, could be as simple as a walk in nature, should be as simple as expressing your creativity, could be as simple as shaking or dancing or talking to a therapist. It could be all of the above, or having hands-on, having the support of hands-on. I'm such an advocate for receiving body work, because for me that helps my nervous system regulate and release and come back home. So there's multiple modalities that you can have access to, whether it's online or in person, to assist you to resolve and release those fractures. And so, having said all that, you've noticed I've been working as I'm talking. So just take another deep breath. I find myself, as I intentionally heal, it takes intention. It's like, I'm going to heal this. I'm going to resolve this in myself. Starts with that activation of will to intentionally heal. Instead of being in the swirl of this is bigger than me, I don't know how to deal with this. It's like, okay, I would like to heal. Hand it over to God. Yeah? All healing comes from the divine. Ask for help, which you've done here. You've demonstrated that by asking in the chat or being present or watching this video or aligning your intention. Multiple ways to ask for help. And when you ask for help, you'll be surprised it comes in all ways and all ways. So keep asking for help. Sometimes that's the biggest hurdle for people who are stuck, asking for help. And the energy is really flowing right now. So I don't know about you or how you're feeling, but I'm really feeling this very beautiful, warm current that's circulating now, coming through. And this warm current is dissipating, dissolving, absorbing, resolving. All of those little spiky barbs. That's what I'm seeing. Little barbs, like a barbed wire. You know, those wire tangles with spikes. Just pulling them out of our field. Those barbs come when I have sensed somebody on the attack. If somebody has thrown negative energy at you or said harsh things or projected a bunch of blame and shame or verbally or physically attacked, those barbs, they like to lodge deep. They like to embed in the tissues and cells. I've pulled many out of my heart before. I've been under a lot of attack in the past. And I don't want to coexist with those, so I've pulled them out of my own heart because they disrupt the flow, they disrupt the thinking, they throw me off course, right? So with those barbs resolved and dissipated, that's the debris in your energy field, the thinking becomes clear. There's not that snag, that glitch, that fragmentation, that throwing you off. So if anything you gain from this would be an awareness of how much your consciousness, your energy field affects your physical, affects your mental. And you'll find 50 million pieces of advice and information on the web about how to stay grounded, how to stay embodied, how to stay present. And again, it takes courage. It takes a lot of courage if there's been a lot of trauma, because it's uncomfortable to sit with the feelings. So that is another thing, Jennifer and Julia and anybody else who's watching. If this work, if receiving this energy, if bringing this to your attention is surfacing a lot for you to process, if there's feelings that you're experiencing that feel overwhelming, remember to breathe. Allow yourself to shed tears if you need to. Allow yourself to express a sound. At the beginning of the session, my throat was all clogged up, so allow yourself to express, whether it's your truth in written form or spoken form, a song, a tone, a hum, a wail, a scream into a pillow, whatever it is that you need to express. That's another somatic release, right? Finding the avenues of somatic release will assist you to stay in balance, will assist you to stay grounded, will assist you to stay centered and embodied. That feels a lot better. It feels a lot softer. As an empath, as somebody who has a tremendous amount of compassion because of all the things I've been through, that level of sensitivity, when you speak, when you write in the chat and I tune in and I can feel where you're at, that's some fine-tuning right there, right? That is some hypersensitivity, hypervigilance. That's some hyper-awareness. And it can be a challenge. And if you have had a lot of trauma and fragmentation and you are on the healing path and you are resolving this trauma slowly, first of all, I would say, please give yourself time. It takes time to heal. And second of all, that hyper-awareness is one of the gifts that can come with that compassion. So from the trauma, your psychic intuitive abilities are likely to be very present, very strong. Because in some way, when you disembody and disconnect and out the building from trauma, you then have access to the quantum field. You then have access to the all and everything. The spirit checks out of the building because of trauma. And as you bring it back, as you return, there's wisdom that comes with it. And that wisdom and those gifts and those talents and abilities start to investigate your psychic intuitive gifts, because I would suggest that they're ready to come online. That's a long spiel. I hope that resonates. Coachella High. I need help locking in. I've been sitting on the steps. Can you tell me what you mean by that? I mean, you haven't gone through the door. So you're on the outskirts. You're thinking about it. This is my interpretation of what you just said. And if you want to clarify, please do. Metaphysically. So yeah, let's go through the door. Let's just go through that door together. Can I hold your hand? Oop, here's my hand. You can go either up or down or sit on the steps. I like that. That is quite the visual. That's another way for me of saying, you know, I see a vortex, a giant whirlwind, right? And if the vortex is aligned and centered, it's humming along, spinning nicely. And if it's slightly off center, it starts to wobble and lean. And there's like, what? And you're going off track. So energetically, I just see to bring that energy center into its center so that you're sitting in the direct line. And in the center of that whirlwind is stillness. In the center of that whirling vortex, if you're out on the outer rim, it's dizzying, right? There's a lot of ungroundedness. There's a lot of, it's very airy. It's very high speed spinning. But if you bring yourself into the center of that whirlwind, if you drop into the epicenter, the eye of the storm, take a deep breath here. That's where you'll find stillness. And it's in the stillness that you'll get that clarity, that you'll get that aha moment, that you'll have those realizations, that you'll be embodied. So if you feel like you're on the steps and even walk through the door and you're not locked in, just bring yourself into the center of the whirlwind. Bring yourself to stillness. As soon as you're in the center of gravity, as soon as you're in the center of stillness, you embody, you're present, you're here, you're now. That's all it takes. Just being present, here and now. You're not future tripping, you're not nostalgic for the past, which is an effect of trauma. You're not constantly fantasizing about what's not real, making up scenarios. You're not constantly lamenting or dwelling or hooked into the past. You're right here, right now. And when you're right here, right now, that's when you can practice gratitude. That's when you can infuse that stillness with gratitude, compassion, joy, kindness, love, all of the qualities that bring happiness and joy. All right, my loves. Feels short and sweet, but I do need to go. I have an appointment. Thank you for being here. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for liking, sharing, subscribing, all of those things. Thanks for being part of my little community here. I love your comments. I love your feedback. I love your presence. If you feel like you have received some benefit and would like to make a donation, the link is in the description. I send you much love and blessings. Just clear the space. Hopefully you've received a nugget of wisdom or some energy, and you can feel that palpably in your body, in your mind, in your heart. This resonates as true for you. Thanks for being you. So much love. Have a beautiful day.